Hello, welcome everyone to Up the Ladder podcast. This is Dr. Endel with Westerville Chiropractic and Nutrition. And today is going to be more of a personal vlog story about training for a really cool event that was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago in Snow Basin, Utah, which is just north of Salt Lake City. And the event was originally supposed to be that I would hike myself. It's called Everesting. So myself and 250 other people would hike Snow Basin Mountain, which went and got a t-shirt from there when we were there just a couple weeks ago. Elevation 9,500 feet. It's about a 2,500 foot gain and a 2.5 mile ascent. And we would attempt to do that 13 times inside 36 hours. And if we accomplish that, then that would be the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest, which is why it's called Everesting. And so unfortunately, because of the state of conditions right now, that event got canceled and pushed to next year. But I have been training for that for since last October, I believe. And so my family and I still went out because airline tickets were so affordable. We still went out and I still got to hike the mountain. I did not do it 13 times. We got to meet some really cool people while we were out there. We had an amazing trip. The kids had never been out west before, but I wanted to kind of recap the trip, some of the things that I've learned from training for it, and you know, kind of just the process, the mental process that and emotional of preparing for it, going out, having fun, but not being able to do the event, but still looking forward to next year. So these are the top 10 things I learned on that trip and about training so far up to date. Number one has to do with more about the trip itself, and traveling with the family and going to cool places. And I call it get the cool rental. So as we were planning to go out there, we've been talking about Jeeps a lot in our household. And so I found a place out there that we could rent a really cool Jeep Wrangler. When we got there, it happened to be lime green, which the kids loved. So we had them take the top off. We rolled around all weekend with the top off through the mountains, you know, in Salt Lake City. Beautiful, amazing. And I think in total, it was maybe $100 more than a normal rental would be. That's probably what the kids are going to remember most about the trip, was the lime green Jeep. So I fell in love with Jeeps while we were out there. So you'll probably see a sporting one in the next 6 months to a year. However, it's the little things like that that make the biggest difference, that are going to make the biggest memories. And so get the cool rental, right? Number two, and this was probably the most shocking about being out there, is elevation is a real thing. I don't know if it was I don't know what you would call it, but I did not expect elevation to affect me as much as it did out there. And so ultimately, I'm glad that we were able to travel out before the actual event, because we got there on a Friday afternoon. We tried to do some hiking Friday afternoon. I was okay going at a slower pace. The kids and the rest of the family really struggled with trying to hike, especially after traveling and being dehydrated from the airplanes and, you know, getting up super early. Not the smartest thing to do, but we had a pretty big time crunch, and so we were trying to fit in as much as we could. So next time, I will definitely take some time to acclimate. Since the event was canceled, I didn't experiment with, but I will now experiment with. There's some supplements out there that are specific to endurance and elevation events. So I'll definitely be experimenting with those. I would love to experiment with some of the tents or hyperbaric chambers that you can do to mimic elevation leading up to the event. So I'll probably do another podcast or some content around that as I experiment with those things. But elevation was a big difference. So I did get to hike the mountain a couple of times, and my lungs felt it more than my body did, which was encouraging in that, I had prepared for the event. However, living in Ohio, there's not a good preparation for elevation, and so I'm gonna have to figure out some other hacks for that. So if you have any ideas on that besides training in elevation, which I would love to also do, let me know. That's that's slightly concerning as I go back out, because that will make a huge difference going up and down that mountain for 36 hours is how much elevation. So I'm either going to go out a lot sooner and acclimate, or going to have to figure out some other interesting things to do. I didn't get sick, but it definitely affected my endurance and my body. So number 3 is small wins really matter. So this was super apparent because, like I said, I did hike the mountain a couple of times. However, my first time, the route was not super clear on which way I was supposed to go. And so I decided in my infinite wisdom to take what I thought would be a shortcut, which ended up doubling my time and distance to get to the top. So that really sucked. It was really discouraging, and learned a lot from that. And one of the biggest ones is small wins really matter, in the fact that it was, because it was so discouraging, it would have been nice to get to the top at the time that I was expecting to get to the top, when I could only see the top, and it was the amount of time that I was expecting to be at the top. That was super discouraging, and it really opened up my eyes that either set smaller, shorter goals, and work towards those so that you can set yourself up for more victories and more wins, especially at the beginning. I thought I was going to get to the top of that in about an hour and a half, and that didn't happen, and so it was discouraging. And so I wish I would have set a different, smaller goal so that I wasn't discouraged my first time on the mountain and my first time heading up. Number 4 goes right along with that. Plan the course and stick with it. So I did this all through my training, right? I took a look at what that week's training was. Of course, you had to make some variations here and there, either because of weather or scheduling or kids. But in general, I got all of the workouts in that I was scheduled to get in for that week. And so I had done all of this leading up to it. But again, once I got on the mountain, I don't know why, I was just trying to make it there faster, and that should be another lesson, right? There are no shortcuts, but plan the course and stick with it, right? I should not have tried to take a shortcut on a mountain I had never been on before. I ended up winding back and forth through the mountain and taking 3 or 4 different trails instead of the one trail I was supposed to take the whole time. So, plan your course, stick with it, and don't try to take shortcuts like I did. Number 5 is it's okay to fail, but pivot quickly. So once I started realizing that I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, I'm halfway up the mountain. I'm supposed to be up there by now at the top. Right? I made a mistake. Totally acknowledged it. Now what the heck am I supposed to do with that? So I started asking other people, right? There's mountain bikers all over the place. I didn't see very many other hikers, but there's a lot of mountain bikers. So I started asking, where does this go? Where am I at? What do I do? And of course, when you're outside, 99% of people doing things like this are fun and helpful. And so I got on the right track. I didn't like the answers that I got, but I was willing to accept, look, I made a mistake. I have to pivot. I have to stick with the plan. I have to, stay on this path. And it did take me twice as long, and I covered twice the distance. But again, learning opportunity. Number 6, don't be so focused on the finish line that you miss the race or you miss the journey. This also hit me about halfway through because I was focusing on the fact that I was lost and I didn't know which path I was supposed to be on, and I was getting frustrated by that. And then I started looking around, and I'm among these beautiful mountains in Utah, and the scenery is gorgeous, and it was hot out, and my family's waiting for me at the top, and there were so many other things to be thankful for other than the fact that I screwed up. That was also super important, is enjoy where you're at, right? A big mantra of mine this year, that was actually brought to me by the guy who developed this race. His name's Jesse. It is, I am where my feet are, right? So if I'm training, I'm trying to be ultra present in my training. If I'm at the office, I'm trying to be ultra present in the office. If I'm with my family, I'm ultra present with my family. And so that has been a big mantra of mine this year, especially with all the other garbage going on around us right now. That is a good reset and reframe for focusing on what really matters. I would also say that goes along with training really well as also. So for me, the biggest transformation was not going to this event or going out and visiting Utah. Although it was really cool to do those things, the biggest transformation for me has been getting back into training, has been the process of prioritizing training and my health and getting stronger and getting back out into nature, prioritizing those things back into my life. That's the process. It's not this one event. It's not this one race. It's not, going up to Mohican and hiking 24 miles. I'm proud of all of those things. However, it's the process of getting there that is by far the most important part of it. And you have to realize that. You have to be willing to engage in that process and recognize it as a process and not just look for the quick fix of, I mentioned supplements, right? The supplement, the workout, the perfect training routine, right? Those things really don't make a difference. It's the process. It's your mental attitude of prioritizing yourself, doing the right thing, and being consistent with it. So that's probably, these aren't ranked in order, but I would say that's my biggest takeaway from this entire process so far has been the process itself. Number 7, the right community makes a huge difference. So there's 2 communities that come to mind in this. Number 1 has been my family. So thankfully I have an amazing wife who, realizes that this is part of my makeup, is doing challenges like this and training for them. And she loves to be a part of it when that works out, like going on this trip. She also likes to do hard things, so she appreciates, what I'm doing and what I've done over the last 6 months. So I would say my wife and family and kids have been super, a big part of this. So the right community and that support makes a huge difference. Also, the community. So the event is called 29029 because that's the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest. And so there's a closed Facebook group, and that's really cool. And so I'm going to post some pictures of the Jeep that we rented and a couple of people that also journeyed out the same weekend, and we got to meet up with at the top of the mountain, because that community makes a huge difference as well, right? It's a support community. Each week we were checking in. Each week we were giving advice if somebody had an injury, giving advice on the shoes, giving advice on, everything related to training and this event, and hiking, and posting pictures of cool places to go hike. And so that community also makes a huge difference. And so in general, having a community that supports you, having a community that has your best interest at heart and isn't just trying to sell you something. And I would say, for our VIP community that we've got right now inside the office, that's my goal, is to give you guys a fun, safe place to, work on your health journey, to give you ideas, to give you resources. That's what this community is supposed to be about, is getting like-minded people who are all on the same journey to interact and engage and have a fun, cool place to do that online with. So sometimes that's physical and sometimes it's online. Number 8, this is a tough one to articulate, but you are way more capable of more than you imagine. So my wish, if I could have a crystal ball, or if I had a genie and I could wish one thing, it would be that everyone would commit to a really, really tough challenge that they didn't think they were capable of, and follow through and complete it. Because again, the process of what you have to learn and who you have to become, and decisions that you have to make along the way, to completing something really hard, I think is invaluable, especially as kids, but even as adults. I think so many people have given up on those sorts of things, on those sorts of dreams, on those sorts of challenges that they, at one time thought, I would love to be able to do something like that, and then they've given up. And so, if I could encourage you to do any one thing, it would be do something that you didn't think you could do, and just try it. You might not have all the answers on how to do it, but just start on it. And jump first and build the wings on the way down, right? That's a saying of something like that. But you are so much more capable than what you think of, than what you think you're capable of doing. It's just mind-blowing to me how many people short sell themselves in what they're able to accomplish. I think I've seen this, I've been most motivated by this inside the office recently with some of our weight loss patients and their victories. I was just talking with someone yesterday who's done our second round of 6-week transformation, and she's down 40 pounds. I mean, that's incredible. And most people know that they need to lose 20 to 50 pounds, but they just don't think it's possible. And so they shortchange themselves and their families and their health and their longevity in the process. And so that would be my one wish for you, is to not shortchange yourselves. Number 9 would be, again, kind of along the same lines, but find a challenge and commit to it. Whether it's physical, whether it's a reading challenge, right? Read a book a month, read a book a week. Whether it's, write a note a day to someone. There's a lot of things that if you got into the habit of doing would really change your business or change your life or change your health. And so, pick one. Just pick one thing and commit to it. In July, we tried the movement challenge, where you just commit to moving every single day, and the feedback was amazing on that. In September, we're going to be doing a weight loss challenge. And so, trying to build healthy habits around healthy eating, find something and stick to it. Find a challenge. Find something that's going to motivate you to improve. It's invaluable. Number 10 is kind of the process that I'm in right now. And a good friend of mine who travels a ton has talked about this, and now I completely get it. But it's plan the next trip or plan the next race right away. So him and one of his good friends travel a lot around the world. And what they always do is, before they leave one spot, they plan the date and location of their next trip together. And that really hits home right now, because now that the event is over, even though I didn't get to do it, I had still been training because we were heading out to Utah. Now the event's over, I'm kind of lost. And so I guess I'm going to start training for the event next year. But honestly, I'm looking for some other events more locally, because I don't want to wait a year, right? A year is a long time to train. And again, looking back at number 3 that I talked about was small wins matter. And so I need some challenges. I need some events coming up a little more quickly than a year away. And so that makes a lot of sense, and that's where I'm at right now. And so for you, it would be, pick something soon, right? Pick a challenge like our weight loss challenge, or pick something that's happening in the next, couple of months that you can start to prepare for. And number 11, I guess would be a bonus, but it ties into everything together, is just do hard things. So often we shy away from doing things that are difficult or painful or require us to exert a lot of energy. And, again, my wish would be that you would test yourself, right? Whether that's taking a cold shower in the morning or a cold bath a couple times a week. You have to build up your mental endurance just as much as your physical endurance, and doing hard things does that. And so that's the bonus. So I'll keep you posted on the progress of this challenge as it's been pushed a year. I was really hoping to have accomplished it, and be reporting on how the race went, but I can't control all that. And so I'm going to focus on what I can control, which is sharing with you all of the awesome health information that I'm learning and the process that I'm going through. And so I'm here for you. If you have ideas or challenges or anything like that, please share. Otherwise, we will see you on the next episode of Up the Ladder. Thanks.